So this is probably the most ubiquitous medicinal mushroom that everyone's walking by. I almost guarantee you that you've walked by this mushroom in the woods at some point.
Hello and welcome to the Herbs with Rosalee podcast, a show exploring how herbs heal as medicine, as food, and through nature connection. I'm your host, Rosalee de la Forêt. I created this YouTube channel to share trusted herbal wisdom so that you can get the best results when relying on herbs for your health. I love offering up practical knowledge to help you dive deeper into the world of medicinal plants and seasonal living. Each episode of the Herbs with Rosalee podcast is shared on YouTube as well as your favorite podcast app. Transcripts and recipes for each episode can be found at herbswithrosaleepodcast.com or through the link in the video description. Also in the video description, you'll find other helpful resources. For example, to get my best herbal tips, as well as fun bonuses, be sure to sign up for my weekly herbal newsletter. Okay, grab your cup of tea and let's dive in. This week's student spotlight is on Gina Hudson in Illinois. Gina is currently enrolled in both the Herbal Energetics course and Rooted Medicine Circle, and she's lighting up both with her humor, her insight, and creativity. Her reflections are full of vivid imagery like puffballs as drama queens, as well as deep plant connection. In the sweet module, she worked with marshmallow in tea, face masks, and even hair care, calling the experience a journey to the fountain of youth. Her joyful approach reminds us just how fun and transformative herbs can be. To honor her contributions, Mountain Rose Herbs is sending Gina a $50 gift certificate to stock up on their incredible selection of sustainably sourced herbal supplies. Mountain Rose Herbs is my go-to for high-quality organic spices, herbal remedies, and even hard-to-find botanicals. They ship all over the U.S. and have a massive selection of products to fuel your herbal adventures. Thank you so much, Mountain Rose Herbs, for supporting our amazing students. And if you'd like to explore Mountain Rose Herbs' offering and support the show in the process, you can find the special link in the show notes. Hey friends, it's Rosalee. If you've been nourished by this podcast, if it's helped you feel more connected to the plants or more grounded in your own herbal path, then I'd love to invite you to join the Herbs with Rosalee podcast circle. This special membership helps make the podcast possible. It supports everything we do behind the scenes, and it gives you a chance to go even deeper with the content that you love. Inside the circle, you'll get exclusive herbal resources, live classes each season with some of my favorite herbal teachers, and a private space to connect with fellow plant lovers. It's where the heart of our herbal community continues to grow. To learn more and join us, visit herbalpodcastcircle.com. Your support means the world, and it helps this podcast continue to bloom. I'm excited to bring you this episode with Logan Keister. If you live near a conifer forest, then chances are red-belted conch grows near you. It's incredibly common and yet often overlooked. In this conversation, Logan shares how this mushroom is worked with differently than other medicinal mushrooms. He offers fascinating insights into its ecology and gives a fantastic recipe for making your own mushroom extract powder, which is my favorite way to work with mushrooms. This is seriously cool stuff. I learned a lot, and I think you will too. For those of you who don't already know him, Logan Keister is a clinical herbalist, educator, medicinal herb farmer, and permaculture designer. Born and raised in the coniferous forests of Notai, Oregon. He has worked with many clients with a diverse range of health concerns over the years and helped them to address their concerns using the vitalist approach to herbalism. He currently resides in Notai, Oregon, where he runs his own small business, Notai Botanica, where he sells herbal remedies, offers holistic health consultations, and shares his teachings on herbalism. Logan received his training in clinical herbalism and botany at the Columbine School of Botanical Studies, the Matthew Wood Institute of Herbalism, the School of Evolutionary Herbalism, and he also has a BS in horticulture and a permaculture design certificate from Oregon State University. Logan, thank you so much for being here. I'm so thrilled to have you on the show.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rosalee. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, well, we got introduced through a mutual friend, Mason Hutchison from Herb Rally, and I've since been checking out your stuff. Really excited to chat with you. and excited to hear your plant story. I've just read your bio. You studied with some of my favorite people, so that's awesome. And you're doing so many awesome things. But yeah, I'd love to start back in the beginning. Like, how did the plants call you on this path that you find yourself on now?
Yeah, great question. So my plant journey's been kind of interesting. It's kind of feels like every kind of job I've ever had was herbalism directly involved in herbalism or herbalism adjacent. And so everything just kind of seemed to be keep pulling me that way. I guess to start out when I was young was, I was kind of raised out in the forest of the Coast Range in Oregon on a small property. We had about 5 acres of forest and big organic garden. So at an early age, my parents would take me out foraging for like wild mushrooms. So we go out and pick chanterelles and hedgehogs and boletes. And we'd also, during the summertime, of course, that's a time for like salmon berries and thimbleberries, blackberries. So very early age, I was steeped in the realm of foraging for wild food. And that was like a just regular part of my life. It's interesting nowadays, people think it's really cool, but back then it just felt like a dorky family activity. I mean, I always enjoyed it, but And as I got older and I got into high school, my very first job was actually as a commercial forager. So I was going out in the woods with one of my good friends' fathers, Bob Cherry. I'm still good friends with him today. And he was kind of a character and stuff. He'd drive us out in his van. And he's like, come on, boys, we got to get up in them hills. Them chanterelles are popping now. We got to get early bird catches the worm kind of a mentality. So we'd be out there picking chanterelles, harvesting Oregon grape, cascara, miner's lettuce. So I kind of got this early exposure and I was kind of like, wow, all these like plants like Oregon grape for me, it was like interesting. Like, wow, this plant grows everywhere. People are actually like paying money for this stuff. Like, what are people using it for? And kind of got me interested there. And then as I graduated high school, I needed to get a big boy job because commercial foraging is really tough work. You often don't make very much money. You're out in all weather conditions. Some days you really make a killing, and then other days you're working for less than minimum wage. So I needed a little more steady income coming in. So I started actually working at Mountain Rose Herbs, where I met our mutual friend Mason. So I was probably 19 years old at this time. And essentially my job was I was an herb cleaner. So they'd get hundreds of pounds of herbs. They're like, okay, there's some debris in this chamomile. Why don't you just pour out pounds of it and just sift through it and make sure it's all clean. And I did some quality control work as well. And for me, it was really interesting because I went from being out in the woods and just gathering all these wild plants and, selling them to buyers to all of a sudden I'm in this massive warehouse that just has just shelves full of thousands of pounds of herbs. And I was realizing like, wow, okay, there is actually something to this herbalism thing, because I can't imagine like this huge, massive warehouse selling all these different plants unless they did something. And the nice thing about Mountain Rose Herbs is they left out a free table to employees. So if a plant changed its lot number, or if it was like a customer return or something like that, they just put it out on a free table. So I was just kind of like sifting through those herbs, and I got really interested in some of the herbs like ginseng and eleuthero and rhodiola, things that were kind of like energy stimulant, because I was like a young guy and I'm like, yeah, give me the herbs that'll make me want to like go lift weights and go for long trail runs. And so I was just getting really into those herbs, and I was like, wow, these herbs, they like definitely worked. I could feel their effect really strongly. And also, being as a young guy, I was also interested in psychoactive plants and the exploration of consciousness through altering one's consciousness through different plants. And I was just really fascinated with the different ways plants could alter my consciousness and understand different aspects of myself and how I perceive the world. Or some plants can make you feel really stimulated, and some make you really relaxed, and some can just give you all kinds of entheogenic experiences. And I felt that for me, that was another thing that really called me into the plant realm, because it was just, okay, if these herbs can do all these things to like alter my consciousness, who's to say they can't alter functions of the body and have the power to heal as well?
Logan, I just find this so fascinating that you like worked physicality with plants, like harvesting plants and then cleaning at Mountain Rose Herbs. And it like really took a long time. Like you're kind of like, oh, there might be something to it. Oh, there might be something to it. But it's just interesting because I think of it like the opposite way. Like people get into herbs and then they become harvesters, or, they get into herbs and then they have the herbal job. So it's kind of fascinating that you're like kind of did the other way around. I'm sure highly influenced by your family, just like this is what life is.
Mhm.
We go harvest plants. It's normal.
Yeah, because I think there's like two ways that people get into herbalism. The two main ways, one's like the love for nature, and then the other one's like going through your own healing journey. And I've been very blessed that I haven't had any hard physical illnesses or ailments that have made me to go seek out that path. So for me, it was always just a love of nature. And that's what eventually led me to go to herb school, because I just kept meeting all these students, because I knew a lot about the native plants. I was like a commercial forager and all that stuff. But then I kept meeting all these people, and they'd be like, oh yeah, they knew all the Latin names. And they'd be showing me like how to identify herbs that I didn't know as much about. And I was like, and I'm like, wait, these folks they're like from like California and Colorado. How did they know more about my native ecology than I do? And I just kept talking to them. I realized they all went to the Columbine School of Botanical Studies. And I kept meeting all these Columbine students everywhere. I just meet these really cool people who had a lot of plant knowledge. And it was kind of hurting my ego a little bit that they knew more about our local ecology than I did, because I consider myself like a outdoorsy guy. Like, I'm really into the plants. I know the mushrooms. And so I kind of like, I was like, well, maybe there might be something to this herbal education, because at the time, you're just Googling stuff and looking things up that way. And I actually went to a talk with a friend of yours, Jim McDonald. Mountain Rose Herbs is hosting the Free Herbalism Project, and he did this whole class on energetics of aphrodisiacs.
I feel like that was such an epic class. Like, people still refer to that class today. So like, I hear people bring up that class a lot. It was an epic one, apparently.
It was amazing. They actually have a recording of it on Mountain Rose Herbs podcast. If anyone's interested in checking it out, it's down in the archives somewhere. But to me, it was like, at first I'm like, well, okay, I can just Google what's a good aphrodisiac. But for him, he was just like, oh, wait, let's break down how these actually work. If someone's lacking moisture, could a demulcent be an aphrodisiac? If someone, and then he talked about the power dynamic within relationships, and like, it was just so holistic. And it wasn't just like, what herbs are aphrodisiacs? And it was like Damiana or cacao or whatever. It was just like more like, whoa, okay, this guy's really going in depth and looking at whole patterns of the body, patterns of relationships. And it really showed me that, like, this is the power of having an herbal teacher. So I went to the Columbine School after that and really fell in love with learning about the plants, because Columbine schools are very botany heavy focused and ecology heavy focused herbal program, which I thought all herbalists did that. I thought all herbalists were like out in the woods and out harvesting, and because that was all the herbalists I was around. And then I kind of learned later, I was like, that was actually a pretty unique experience to go out in the woods and key out plants and get a really strong, heavy knowledge on botany and ecology. So for me, that's kind of been like the huge foundation of my herbal practice, and how I work with herbs is very bioregional. But it was,
I just want to give a shout out to Howie. Howie's just so awesome, and such a great school. It's been around for so long, and yeah, that is such a special aspect of a school. That's also, I started out not at Columbine, but studying ecology and out in the field and foraging and keying out plants. And like you, I was surprised to find out that is not like necessarily normal. Like, it was interesting later to find like kind of what I call like pharmacist herbalists. Like, they don't know the plants at all. It's just like kind of the thing that they're prescribing. It was kind of shocking to me, because I didn't know that people did that. So it's interesting we have that similar in the field background. But big shout out to Howie.
Yeah, and for me, it was like, I had no interest at all in clinical herbalism at this point. I was more just like, I want to know all the plants for my own sake, just to help me feel connected to all the plants around me and know how I can work with these different plants. And I was always into wild foods and things like that. So it wasn't until I got into my second year in the program, then he starts offering out like, oh, if anyone's curious, they can come into the clinic with me, and then you can intern under me and I can show you how to work with clients. And I was like, well, since you're offering, well, we might as well check it out. And I think that's where I really fell in love with clinical herbalism, because it was pretty incredible for me to be able to sit alongside my teacher and have people come in with like very serious ailments, like things like, you wouldn't think normally people could treat with herbs if you were outside the realm of herbalism, but, or I shouldn't say the word treat, but to assist people on their healing journey through the power of herbs. See, got to watch your language as a clinical herbalist. No. But being able to see that firsthand was like, wow, okay, there is something to this clinical aspect of herbalism, and really got me fascinated with that side. So I've been practicing clinical herbalism since 2018. And just also beyond that, I also got a degree in horticulture. So I've worked at Oregon State University. So I've worked for a lot of different medicinal herb farms, including strictly medicinal seeds. So I actually consider Richo Check to be another great mentor of mine. I worked for him for 3 years and stuff, and we worked together every day, and we're still really close friends. And he just that was pretty amazing because it kind of took the world from learning all the wild plants and working with those to go into Mountain Rose, and you're all of a sudden seeing like all these dried herbs in boxes. Then all of a sudden I'm growing all those plants that I was working with so many years ago in at Strictly Medicinal Seeds, because he had the largest collection of native medicinal plants in the entire world. So I got to grow pretty much all the medicinal herbs in Southern Oregon. So that's though I've gotten to see every plant from seed to full grown plant, then to harvesting the seed. So it's been really kind of incredible getting that experience as a very hands-on herbalist as well. So but yeah, that's a little bit about my plant journey. Yeah, and today I have a clinical practice. I make herbal products and do a lot of education as well. So
Yeah, you do a little bit of everything there. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. I'm just fascinated too, just like you said, of you've been the forager, a grower, you've been working in the warehouses at Mountain Rose Herbs. I don't know exactly what my question is, Logan, but I feel like you have this very unique perspective of kind of like behind the scenes of plants and how they might reach us. Some people are never involved, in the growing or the harvesting of the plants. And I don't know, do you have any insights or thoughts about that? Again, that's kind of a general question, but I'm just curious with your experience, like in terms of like how we can be the best herbalists and how we can get the best herbal quality. I don't know, something about that. Is there a question in there for you?
yeah, so what comes up with for me with that kind of inquiry is, for me, plants are really about relationships. And it's not to say, I think they're like, you could look at a system like Chinese medicine where you kind of just pick up the formula and, oh, this formula fits this pattern of disease, and you're kind of detached from the medicine making process or what the herbs are. But for me, I have a lot of firsthand experiences with these plants. Like they're like friends to me. When I'm like alone, I spend a lot more time out in the forest, like talking to the plants, talking to the animals and the fish, and just spending a lot of time just relating to plants. And I feel for me that enhances my herbal practice because I get to know the herbal plant almost like the way you know a friend or a person. And so when a client comes to me, it's almost like, oh, hey, you want to meet my buddy? You want to meet my friend? You ever met Oregon Grape before? I think you guys really get along. You got like little down here stuff going on, and Oregon Grape loves that kind of stuff. It's I think you guys would really have a good conversation. Kind of put it more metaphorically. So I think for me, I have a very relational practice with herbalism. I think that can benefit a lot of people. So it's not so much just herbs in bottles or dried herbs, but when you actually get to see the plant and get to know it through all of its stages of life, it gives you a whole different respect and perspective on those herbs.
Well, thank you for that. I was also wondering, you're born and raised in Notai and live there now. It's interesting. You don't often meet people who are living in the place where they were born and raised. And I'm wondering what it's like to be there, in the community where you're from, and then now, there as an herbalist. It's an interesting take. It's not just bioregional in that like you moved to the region and now you're immersed there, but this is like where you've been born, raised through and through.
Yeah, I know a lot of people move away from home and stuff, and I have too. I did a stint up in Washington. I was working at Bastyr University. I'm like, it's a little too rainy and cold up here. So then I decided to move down south. So I was down in Southern Oregon and when I was working with Strictly Medicinal Seeds down in Williams. I'm like, it's beautiful down here, but it's a little hot and dry. And then you kind of just go back to a place where you're like, oh, this is just right.
This feels like home.
Yeah, and for me, I think there's just something really beautiful for me because I've walked a lot of places where I go to harvest plants is places I've walked since I was a very small child, since I know maybe my parents just carrying me on a backpack as a baby through the forest. And so I feel when I talk about lead plant walks out here and I do stuff from this region, it's just like I've sat with these plants like my entire life. I know this area so well, and it's not just like, and I never get bored of it. There's just like so much, like in a small area, I'm always discovering new places and finding new communities of plants that I can come and access. So for me, just living, just having a very strong sense of place. And I think a lot of people are missing that, but I'm really proud to be where I'm from. And I'm really love the native ecology. I love the plants here. And, I see the highs and the lows, and we have a big timber industry here. So I see the ways in which having a timber industry gives us access to more public land, and the timber companies open up their land to us to be able to explore. And there's a lot of beauty there because we have all this area to explore, but then also the ways that the ecology is often mismanaged. And so I can have a more in-depth approach to how I discuss these issues because I've studied it both formally and kind of my education, but I've also gotten firsthand experience growing up and watching, clear cuts happen and then watching the forest regrow and seeing how the plant communities change based on that. So that's kind of my little spiel on that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it's like there's a difference between reading that in a textbook and that being a lived experience and knowing what that's like on various levels from your own, just what you're seeing to what you're feeling as you go through those processes of watching the clear cut to the regrowth. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing to be able to have that strong sense of place and to be able to call on that.
Yeah.
Well, Logan, you've chosen a mushroom for your plant today, which I always love that herbalists are so inclusive that we invite mushrooms into our herbal materia medica. And this is a new one for the show. And it's honestly a new one for me too. So I'm excited to hear what you have to share about the red-belted conch.
Yeah. So I actually did a class at the Good Medicine Confluence last year. It was like I did a whole 2-hour class just on this mushroom.
Wow.
And I called the class the most ubiquitous polypore.
Hmm.
So this is probably the most ubiquitous medicinal mushroom that everyone's walking by. I almost guarantee you that you've walked by this mushroom in the woods at some point. So Fomitopsis pinicola, or red-belted conch, is a polypore mushroom, meaning it's kind of one of our shelf mushrooms. You often see it growing off of a tree, like a large shelf. And it's so similarly related to reishi and turkey tail, artist conch, and these other kind of shelf mushrooms. And you'll notice like one of the unique distinguishing characteristics of what you get from the name is red-belted conch or red ring conch. It has this like little ring that you often see on the outer edge of the cap, usually when it's younger. And then it'll often be like brown to black on the top part, and then it have a white poured surface underneath. And it's really cool because you can actually find this mushroom growing in pretty much every continent besides Antarctica, because everything grows everywhere besides Antarctica, apparently. So it's a really wonderful mushroom that's just like, it's everywhere, but not many people are working with it. And it's really cool in multiple ways. So one way I really like to use it is it's really excellent when used for a lot of digestive things. Well, here, I guess I kind of want to talk a little more about ecology first, because I have a thing where it's like, it's hard for me to get so much in talking about how we work with the herb and before we kind of talk about the way it grows. So for instance, one thing interesting thing about it with that red ring on it is it's a brown rot fungi. So that means it helps to degrade cellulose within trees. So it's a cellulose eating mushroom. So you often see it on standing trees. And when it helps to degrade that cellulose, it makes it so other species are able to come in and penetrate the tree. Like insects start coming in there, you start getting bark beetles underneath. And one of our great birds out here is the red-pileated woodpecker, the largest woodpecker in North America. And it'll start, once the red-belted conch comes through, it starts degrading the cellulose. It starts making it able so they can start making these big holes inside of the tree, which then create these large cavities for them to create their own nests and stuff, and other birds and other creatures and like squirrels will come and live in those cavities, which I always find interesting that there's that association with them, because you got red-pileated woodpecker with the red band around its head, and then you got the red-belted conch with the red band around it, and they have that kind of like a common association there, which I always thought was pretty interesting. So it gets a lot of its nutrition from the tree itself. So a lot of times you're seeing these different constituents being derived from the sap and the phloem. Interesting thing too, I remember your illustrator was asking me like, oh, are there any insects or birds that associate with this mushroom? Really interesting thing about this mushroom is it actually releases pheromones for different species of beetles and flies. And so you'll often see in the springtime around here, you'll see like it just looks like club beetle or club fly underneath there. You'll see a bunch of beetles, and they're all like courting each other and mating. And it's just like kind of like a mating frenzy going on underneath this mushroom.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, so the bugs are drawn to go mate another because they're sitting underneath the cap, and then like they're literally getting doused with spores. And so you can imagine these bark beetles getting covered in spores as they're having their mating frenzy down there, and then they're going, start nibbling get into another tree and start delivering spores through their mouths that way. And so it kind of actually spreads the mushroom that way, which is pretty fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I say Fomitopsis pinicola, I know there are going to be some mushrooms nerds out there who are like, oh, well, you live in the Pacific Northwest. You guys don't have Fomitopsis pinicola. You have Fomitopsis schreckii, mountainy, and ochre. So which one are you talking about? I'm like, well, to you guys, that is a very recent distinction. So
Hmm.
like plant taxonomy, mushroom taxonomy is like a whole mess. So there have been changing mushroom families. So they found out that even though our species is identical to the ones that you would find in Eurasia or in Europe or in Asia, they're still finding that there's enough genetic differences that they're going to break them up into these separate categories, even though they're completely morphologically exactly the same. Even if you had a microscope, you couldn't tell them apart, even though they can they can mate with each other and create fertile offspring. And even though that they have the pretty much the same constituents that you would use as an herbalist, like medicinally, they still thought like, well, let's just break them up into these separate categories because they're the ITS region on the genes enough different that we think we can make this call. So I like to call it the Fomitopsis pinicola species complex. That's how I've kind of settled on that whole issue. You call it the species complex, which is scientifically accurate, but you're not going to have people getting mad at you for that. You got to get your PhD somehow. I don't blame them,
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been kind of broken up into these separate species, but that's why I call it the most ubiquitous polypore, because they have these species growing in all these different countries. So I guess I'll talk now. I've talked a little bit about ecology, even though I could keep going on and on about that. Let's talk a
I
little
have a
bit
question
about,
for you, Logan.
Yeah, go for it.
So I looked up red-belted conch to prep for this, and I did. When I looked at the photos, I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure I see that everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I live in the dry side, so it's not like mushrooms are as ubiquitous here as they are in other places, but I still see it. But then I was like, but have I seen it? Because I know that identifying mushrooms can be difficult. So I don't know, are there lookalikes? Am I seeing red-belted conch out there? Or could it be, one of 10 other different mushrooms I'm seeing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one thing to put your mind at ease is, now I guess I was about to say don't quote me on this, but it's on a podcast, so I guess I have no help. But as far as I know, and as far as I've been told, there are no toxic polypores in the United States. I believe the only toxic polypore mushroom is in Australia, because everything toxic is in Australia.
That is a
But as
fact.
far as I know, there's no toxic polypore. So even if you did make a mistake, it would not be deadly. Of course, do your own research, make sure you have proper identification. But I say the really good way to identify it is you're not going to see many mushrooms that are going to have this brown on the top with a red ring around it. And of course, they also change when they're older. When they first start coming out, they're a little white, like they look like little ping pong balls. Then they start to get a little like reddish yellow tinge to it. As they grow out more, you'll start seeing more of the brown black. And even when they get really mature, oftentimes the red ring will completely disappear and you'll just have like a brown surface on the top, a brownish blackish surface. So that does make identification a little bit hard. If you get to know a lot of the other polypore mushrooms that are in your area, I'd say just start off by like identifying some of the other common polypores in your area, because usually, depending on where you're at, there usually won't be too many in the area. So I'd say just start with doing some proper mushroom ID to see if like, are there any other in your area? Because I can answer for my own area.
Right.
Like, you could say like Ganoderma oplanatum, people can make that mistake, but it's not as likely. So I'd say it's just like with any kind of herb or plant, you have to really like take proper identification in your own hands. But I'd say the risk factors for making a mistake with Fomitopsis pinicola, especially in the United States and anywhere besides Australia, as far as I know, is very low.
Cool. Thanks for that.
Yeah. So speaking a little bit more about how I like to work with Fomitopsis pinicola. So there is actually quite a bit of research out there on it, and there's some traditional usage, not only with some of the North American tribes out here, but there's also some research in Asian medicine systems, like in Chinese medicine, for instance. And so I say one of my main indications is I kind of like to work with archetypes in my plant stuff. So I always see it as like a very martial mushroom. It's got kind of this like red ring around it, and some of its traditional uses have been, for instance, for clot stopping bleeding. I can take the powder, and it's like a hemostatic agent, so it'll help to actually stop bleeding, and it's very antimicrobial. Imagine this mushroom that has to sit on a tree. It can't go run away from predators. It kind of has to create a lot of compounds within it to help avoid predation. So it's a very nice antimicrobial, very nice hemostatic. It's also got compounds in it that are very anti-inflammatory. So when I was back in the day, when I was out picking with Bob in my early wildcrafting days, this is the very first medicinal mushroom I actually ever got to work with. Besides some entheogenic ones, but that's a story for another day. But this is like the first like medicinal mushroom I got to really work with. And Bob was like, oh yeah, you boil this thing, just throw it in a pot of water, boil the crap out of it for 2 hours, drink like 10 cups of tea, and you'll have yourself some euphoria. I'm like, oh, euphoria, you say? That sounds pretty cool. So I tried it out. I remember we boiled a big polypore. We took a bunch of cups of tea. We boiled it for like 2 or 3 hours. And I remember just drinking a few cups of tea. I just remember just feeling this very relaxed feeling. It just felt like this very lucid, dreamy kind of feel, and just very, very calm. And he said he knew it as a lager tea. He said the old Oregon loggers used to take it and they'd brew it into a tea, and it was very anti-inflammatory. So they'd use it for their aching ankles and legs after a long day of working, and it kind of helped them get to sleep. So I kind of use it in that way a little bit as a calming nervine. And as an anti-inflammatory or inflammation modulator, depending on if you're anti, then, call it an inflammation modulator. That's probably more accurate anyways. So I've worked with it that way as a nice mind alterer, but it's also really excellent for all kinds of GI inflammation. So that's probably my main indication when I work with it as a clinical herbalist, is for any gastrointestinal inflammation. Inflammation in the stomach. It's really high in antioxidants, so it's really good at with oxidative stress, especially in the liver. So I kind of use it, and when I'm formulating with it, I'm usually thinking like, okay, if I'm making like a GI restoration formula or a liver formula, I'm often adding a double extract of Fomitopsis pinicola, red belted conch to that extract. I find it works really well for gastrointestinal inflammation, which is quite common. So it's a really good one there.
Is it bitter, Logan?
Oh yeah, great question. Yeah, so it is very bitter. It has very strong bitter flavors, probably one of the more bitter of the medicinal mushrooms. It also has some nice aromatic compounds as well. They're quite intense. And it's also like with a lot of the medicinal mushrooms, they've been studied a lot with the beta glucans and stuff. So they have a lot of properties that are inflammation modulating, immune modulating, and have cancer benefits like anti-carcinogenic, especially with all the high antioxidants in there, and also beta glucans helping to, and like I've studied from the whole way that medicinal mushrooms help with cancer is essentially when you have like cancer, it's almost like this overgrowth of a cell in the body that's kind of evading detection. So your body's normally supposed to notice like, oh, hey, there's like this overgrowth of this like tumor here. We should probably like get rid of it. But the outer electrical charge of the tumor is evading detection. And so what the beta glucans do is when you consume the mushroom, they're taken down into your small intestine. They're broken up into little itty bitty pieces. We can't digest any of these carbohydrates, these beta glucans, but they're carried by our macrophages throughout our bloodstream, and they are able to mark these very sparse, they'll mark like little inflammation modulating areas, various cytokine signals, cell signals throughout the body, and they'll be able to latch on to these tumors that are evading detection from our body. And so they're not there to like kind of like kill the cancer, but they're basically like putting a big red flag there. They're just like saying like, hey buddy, you've been missing this. It can latch on there. Even our body's own electrical charge has been able to miss it. And it's like, oh, hey, someone marked this up. We should probably clean this up. We should do something right here. So imagine like the inner construction crew of our body kind of like noticing like these little flags, like, all right, this is your next job kind of a thing. So that's one way I see it being useful in those cases. So I usually use it for gastrointestinal cancers, esophageal, stomach cancers, things like that. I got a funny story about it one time. So I kind of like to work with archetypes, you could say. So I remember I was doing like a meditation. I had if you know Jason Scott from Feral Fungi, I got one of his early preparations of a spagyric, like an alchemical extract of red-belted conch. And so I was like, I was living at this Tibetan Buddhist property at the time. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get in the garden and I'm just going to do this little meditation. And it was like on the day and the hour of Mars, because I work with that as a martial medicine because it has the red color of Mars. It works on the blood. It works on heat and inflammation. It works on the inner warrior of our body, our immune system. So I'm like, well, that fits the Mars archetype, the archetype of the warrior. So I was like sitting in the meditation garden and I'm like sitting there and getting centered and taking some deep breaths, and took like 3 drops of the tincture and right on the hour, and I was like feeling it, and then all of a sudden like I heard like this like "Dur, dur, 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 dur." I'm like, what is that? I'm like, "Dur, dur, 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 dur." And I realized it was like these 2 squirrels I'd been seeing chasing each other all morning. They were like way on the other side of the property, but then all of a sudden they decide to come run all the way across all the trees and come right above me in my little meditation spot. And they were just like above me. They're like "Doo, doo," looking down at me from this branch, probably like 15 feet above my head. I'm like, squirrels, I'm trying to have my meditation right now. I'm trying to be spiritual. Get out of here. And then they just kind of keep like, "Doo, doo, doo." And then they literally started banging on the branches, and they were banging the branches like little war drums. I never seen squirrels just like banging on the branches. They're right above my head, and they're just barking at me like crazy. I'm like, God, why are these squirrels so aggressive? Why are they coming at me? And I was like, oh, wait a minute. They're kind of being like little Martians or like little warriors right now, beating their war drums and getting mad at me. I'm like, oh, it's kind of like, you take the medicine within you, but then it starts showing up on outside of you in ways you wouldn't expect. So
yeah, you called them
sometimes
in.
I use Fomitopsis pinicola that way to kind of work with martial archetypes. I work with people who tend to be a little aggro and aggressive and have a lot of heat and inflammation, and maybe they're more prone to acute sickness and illnesses and stuff that come on hot and fast, but tend to die away quickly. So I tend to work with it that way because it also helps to calm that inner warrior. And I see that as kind of like, the true warrior is saving their energy for when the real battle comes. And they're not just getting mad at the fly that's flying around their face and using up all their energy at that. So I see it's really good for some people who have that warrior archetype strong within them, but they turn everything into a battle when they really say conserving their energy for the true battle ahead.
Oh, fascinating, Logan. Yeah, this is really interesting. I'm trying to think of I don't think I work with any other mushroom as such a strong, digestive inflammatory modulator in that way. Maybe reishi a bit. That's the one that comes to mind. But it's I'm fascinated now about the red-belted conch. And I'm really excited for the recipe that you shared with us, the extract powder. And I like that you opened it up so it could be people can make this recipe with any kind of any kind of mushroom, I guess we could say. But would you mind walking us through making this extract powder? Maybe even starting with why would we make an extract powder?
Yeah. So this was a technique I actually learned from Dr. Christopher Hobbs. I actually got to meet him at one of the free herbalism projects, and he really turned me on to this way. His book, Medicinal Mushrooms, The Essential Guide, was been really big influence on the way I like to teach about medicinal mushrooms. And so we kind of mentioned before the camera came on is a lot of people are just kind of like, oh, I got some chaga or I got some reishi. Can I just like throw a little bit of water on it, steep it for 5 minutes and then drink it? It's like, well, mushrooms, they take a lot longer to give off their constituents. And when I usually give talks, I talk about the whole structure of the mushroom and why it's really important that we actually really heavily process our mushrooms. So mushrooms, for instance, we don't want to be eating any mushrooms raw. They have really all of their beta glucans, those super desired beta glucans that everyone talks about, these carbohydrate chains, they're bound into hard chitin. And so for those of you who aren't familiar, chitin's what crab shell is made out of. So you can imagine all these constituents, they're bound into this hard crab shell. And also a lot of mushrooms contain compounds like hydrazines, which will easily steam off and can be cooked off, but they can be toxic to the liver unless you cook them. So if you go to the salad bar and you see those raw mushrooms in the salad bar, like, don't just stay away from those things. Cook your mushrooms before you put them in your salad, or maybe not even put mushrooms in your salad. I don't see the person. No, I'm not judging anyone else who wants to put mushrooms in the salad. I put mushrooms in about everything else but my salad. So we want to be able to cook these mushrooms, and you can cook them really thoroughly, and especially the more woody and harder the mushroom is. So you could think about something like a chanterelle, or like a oyster mushroom or a shiitake. I can just chop that up, throw it in a pan and saute it for a while. And I can saute it for like I don't know, 15 to 30 minutes, and it'll be usually pretty good to go and eat at that point, depending on how thin it's chopped up. With our more harder polypore mushrooms, we really want to apply a lot of heat to them. And so there are a lot of different compounds within these medicinal mushrooms. And oftentimes some are very water soluble, like all the beta glucans we were mentioning, but then there's some that are more alcohol soluble, like some of our triterpenes. And so a lot of people do the double extract method where you make a water decoction and then you make a tincture and then you combine the water decoction where the mushrooms are boiled for a few hours into a tea with the alcohol extract into a tincture, and you combine the two together, which is great. I'd still do those a lot. However, Christopher Hobbs really turned me on to the mushroom extract powder because you literally throw out nothing. All of the things, whether you're doing the double extract, is after you make your tea and after you make your tincture, you have all this leftover mushroom, the little slices, or if you blend it up or however, you're going to throw that in the compost when you're done. But the thing is, beta glucans, what they are is they are the structure of the mushroom itself. They are what gives its firmness and its pliability. They are like the bound structure. So everything that you're throwing out is what you're trying to get out of the mushrooms. So when we make a mushroom extract powder, we literally consume the entire mushroom and we set nothing to waste. And so some people may ask me often, they're like, well, can I just take a mushroom and just powder it up, just as it is without like doing any kind of like cooking or boiling? And it's like you can, but it's going to be way less bioavailable. Remember that those beta glucans are bound into that chitin. So even when we powder it, it's really hard to release those compounds. So what we usually do in the mushroom extract powder is first thing, get your mushroom. And so you can do this with any kind of mushroom. I've done it with things like matsutake. I've done it, which are really gentle. I've done it with, well, are those fireworks? That was right.
Yeah, the world is very excited about getting mushrooms, apparently. Let's celebrate it with fireworks.
Yeah, all right. For those of you who are just listening, this random fireworks just popped up on my screen. I don't know what that was about. So anyways, to start with this mushroom extract powder, first thing, you start with your mushroom, and you can use softer mushrooms or you can use more hard mushrooms. So things like reishi, they're an annual mushroom, so they tend to be fairly hard, but not quite as hard as the red-belted conch. And so when you're harvesting any polypore mushroom, if it's fresh, chop it up the day you pick it. They get so hard. The next day you pick your reishi, you pick your artist conch, your red-belted conch, they turn into like a piece of wood, and you literally have to bring out the electric saw. I learned that because I got some agarikon, and it had been harvested a long time ago that someone had found on the ground, so it was going to rot. So like, here, take this agarikon, you can process it. I got that from Christopher Hobbs, and man, I had to hit that thing with my table saw. It was so hard to cut through. So avoid using a table saw. You can get it done with a sharp kitchen knife if you start processing it the day you get it. So what you do is you start cutting up the nice thin slices. Once you get it cut up into thin slices, I usually like to cover it with some water and then put it into a high-powered blender. So I use one of the NutriBullets but not like the weak NutriBullet, like the 1200 watts or however many watts, like super power NutriBullet. And that really just blends it up really fine. And then after I get this nice mushroom slurry, I like to throw it into the Instapot or pressure cooker and then put it on there on high heat for 45 minutes to an hour. If you don't have a pressure cooker or an Instapot, just use a big pot of boiling water. It works great. And I usually, if I'm going to be doing that, I would be cooking it for a lot longer. So usually I'd do like 3 to 4 parts water to 1 part mushroom. And I just cook it down until it's barely like a thick mushroom slurry. You evaporate as much water off as you can. And I still do that too if I'm doing the pressure cooker as well, because you're going to want to cook off as much water as you can in the pot, because the next step is you're going to want to put it into the dehydrator. So you're going to take this mushroom slurry that you've cooked down, and then you're going to add it onto some baking sheets if you're going to put it in your dehydrator. I have like these little silicone racks that I use. If you don't have those, you can use like wax paper to add this mushroom slurry to it. If you don't have a dehydrator, you can use the oven. I've done that before, and the oven works quite well. You just put it on a very low heat. So I usually dehydrate it between, between 120 to 150 or 170, depending what the lowest setting on your oven is. But, you know, there's no problem using a decent amount of heat. You just don't want it to be like burning the material. So I think like keeping it below 200 is important. And so basically you're going to keep dehydrating it till it turns into this like thin mushroom cookie. It's going to be like a cracker. It should crack really easily. You should be able to feel all around, and there's no soft spots. There's all the water's completely out of it. Once you've gotten it fully dry, dehydrated, it's turned into a mushroom cookie or cracker, you're going to take that mushroom cracker, break it up, throw it back into the high-powered blender, and just hit that thing hard. Just hit it with all the force you can. Get that thing as a fine of a powder as you can, because the more finer those particles are, the better it's going to, is the more bioavailable it is, essentially. And so then once you got that, you pretty much got this amazing mushroom powder. You can put it into a jar and store it in a cupboard, or you can put it into bags. And now you've literally thrown out nothing. You're consuming the entire mushroom. All the constituents are there. All the beta-glucans, all the triterpenes, all the phenolic compounds are all there within this powder. And it pretty much lasts indefinitely, as far as I know. I've talked to some chemists about it who work with mushrooms, Dr. Maria, and she was telling me that some of the antioxidants, or not the antioxidants, but the terpenes, the diterpenes and triterpenes may degrade over time, but you're not going to lose any of the beta-glucans. Those are carbohydrates. They're structural components. They don't really degrade with time. I mean, I still probably use it within 10 years, ideally. But I mean, that's pretty darn well compared to a lot of other extracts out there. It can last many, many, many years. And what's great about it too is it's super user friendly. You can add it to whatever you want. You could just make a thing of hot water, drop a teaspoon in there, stir it up, and you got yourself an instant mushroom tea. You could add it to your cooking. You're making a broth, like, oh, let's add it to there. Maybe even you're making your eggs. Fomitopsis pinicola probably would taste great in eggs. But like the other things like reishi or something like that, you can easily drop these things into your yogurt, for instance. If you do like yogurt and granola in the morning, add it to soups, stews, pastas. This mushroom extract powder is just super user friendly. So that's why it's really excellent, and you're not losing anything. The only thing is it is a bit, even though the recipe is pretty simple, it does take, it's quite a bit of work. You know, it's taking quite a few hours, and usually doing it over a day or two. So definitely, you know, when people are charging extra money for their mushroom extract powders, it may be because of all the processing, especially if you're using wild mushrooms like I do in my practice. It takes quite a bit of processing. But once you got it made up, it's like, man, it's amazing stuff. I do this with reishi and turkey tail, and I'll give these powders out to my family and friends, and they're really excellent.
Thank you so much for describing that. This is my favorite way to work with mushrooms by far. So it's cool. I feel like you just made it really accessible. Like you said, it takes some time, but the steps are easy though. You know, It's not like you don't need a lab to process it. And like you said, there's all different kinds of mushrooms you can do it with. It lasts for such a long time. I'm really curious now, like what the double extract method, like a chemical profile of that would be versus these extracts, you know, just out of curiosity. Because like you're saying, you're not throwing anything away with the powdered extract. So it'd be an interesting comparison to see like what's the difference between those two. You don't happen to know, do you?
Well, you're going to get far less beta glucans in the double extract, because it's pretty much going to be all the water soluble beta glucans. So it's usually when you get the double extract, if you see that little bit of powder at the bottom, you know, it should look a little bit cloudy. If you don't see the cloudiness, it's probably a bad sign that you don't have a very beta glucan rich double extract preparation. I know Warren G, the alchemist who does a lot of work for a lot of big herb companies. He says sometimes he gets complaints about that. They're like, hey, we don't like all this cloudiness down there. And he's like, that's the medicine right there.
That's good stuff.
We want a clean looking product. So you got to take that out of there. So that's a big no-no. But pretty much when you look at a mushroom extract powder, it's like, it's pure beta glucans. You're not losing everything. It's like everything that you're throwing out, it's like you're losing nothing of the structure. So definitely you're going to get a lot more beta glucans. There could be some benefits to having the triterpenes. I've had some people ask me, like, what if you did an alcohol soak before you did the mushroom powder? You made that. Would that help to make any of the triterpenes more soluble into the mixture? And I haven't come up with a good answer. I think theoretically it could,
Hmm.
but I think also too, you're not losing any of the triterpenes throughout the process. Like everything's still there contained in with the mushrooms. It could be potential that an alcohol wash could potentially help strip more of them from the surface. But the thing is, you're not losing anything. So I'd imagine it would still have more of those phenolic compounds still quite bioavailable.
That's a good point. Also, just makes me think that often my answer to this kind of thing is like, that's why we work with things in all the ways. Like the extract,
Yeah.
the powdered extract is my favorite, but there's something to be said for, yeah, all the different ways we work with these
Mhm.
beings, whether it's just spending time with them out in the forest or a double extract or an extract powder, so many different ways. I really liked your description of how these beta glucans might be working and that they're kind of helping our immune system to activate and recognize things in our body that we want to clean up. And it was a great description of that. That is the reason why I feel like strongly I get mushrooms in my life every day. And I think it's something I always hate to say like everybody should get mushrooms, but I kind of feel like that. So like why not? I mean these things are just so incredibly powerful on so many different levels that you've been describing, from their ability to modulate inflammation to the ability to kind of activate and train our immune system. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the mushrooms and I really love the extracts for that too. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to share about the red belted conch before we move on, Logan?
Oh boy. Well, I think from what you were just saying, it made me think a lot about the way mushroom medicines work in the body. Is like what I was mentioning there, for instance, when we were talking about the uses for cancer, is that these compounds don't just go in there and they just eliminate the cancer or whatever, or they're directly attacking the cancer, but they're kind of flagging things. And that's like a long, slow process.
Mm.
It's something that I see a lot of people make the mistake when they're buying mushroom products is they buy enough, maybe they get like a month supply of it. And then when it runs out, they're like, well, I got it in me, so that's good. I think it's really important to be really targeted when we're working with medicinal mushrooms, know what kind of medicinal mushrooms we should be taking and make a commitment that we're going to take them for a long time.
Mm.
For one example, I know this isn't red belted conch, but for some of the research they did on lion's mane, for instance, is they had a bunch of 65-year-olds who were suffering from like Alzheimer's, dementia. Maybe it wasn't full on Alzheimer's, but they were having some like cognitive impairment. And so they started taking lion's mane for about a 6-week trial. And then they found like once they stopped taking the lion's mane after taking it for like, I think it was like I think it was like 2 to 3 month trial they did it. And then after 6 weeks of not taking it, they were just back to baseline.
Hmm.
So I think of that a lot when we're working with medicinal mushrooms is I hate to tell like you say like, oh, you got to take medicinal mushrooms every day. Everyone should be taking these things. It's like, well, if you feel like you have an issue that would benefit from medicinal mushrooms, like you're worried about cancer or maybe a lion's mane, you have cognitive impairment or some neurological disease or something like that you're dealing with, you should make a commitment that I'm going to take this every day for 4 to 6 months or at least 5 to 7 days a week. I usually say 5 days a week because that way if you miss a couple of days, you're not kicking yourself in the butt like, oh, I missed like 3 days. You're like, oh, I'm only 1 day off my schedule. So I would say 5 days a week, make it easy for people. But if you fall off that train, you miss like a day or two, it's not a big deal. You can just get back on. But if you just take something for a short term, it's not to say you won't get any benefits. Like you will get benefits, but if you're looking to target something specifically, you should really make a commitment like, okay, I have some GI inflammation. I'm having some like issues with my liver. I'm looking to work on some of my stress and the way I'm like interacting with the world, like my chronic inflammation. Like make a commitment that whatever protocol you're on, you're going to stick with it. Because I'm sure you as a clinical herbalist, you see that a lot where people maybe they don't stick to the protocol you give them, or they do it for a few days. They're like, I did this for like a week and I didn't notice anything. You're like, yeah, it's going to take you about like a few months to actually get out of this nutritional deficiency you've been suffering with for your like the past 10 years. Like I'm making it for 10 years of like poor diet, poor assimilation, or what have you. So you should really make a commitment when you work with medicinal mushrooms.
That's wonderful, Logan. Yeah, the word that's coming up for me right now is relationship. I love how you said that that's how you approach
Mhm.
herbalism and your relationship with plants is through that deepening time spent that with them. And it just comes out like your description of how to make the powdered extract. I mean, that is relationship building, to be that involved with the medicine making process. And then the relationship also of working with a plant or mushroom in this case for an extended period of time. Yeah, that word relationship is kind of running through and through in everything that you're sharing with us.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I thought of a couple other fun uses. This one I learned from Jay Schindler, Fungi for the People. He says he really likes to use red-belted conch when you're out on the trail and like, you've been backpacking and you get that blister on the back of your foot and stuff. And so he'll cut off like a thin slice of the mushroom, put it in there in his boot to kind of like bring down the inflammation on the blister spot, help to prevent any infection from happening, but also really excellent for stinky boots. It has very nice aromatic compounds that are very disinfecting and neutralizing. So you can cut off a small piece, drop it in your boot, and it'll kind of help to disinfect that as well. So good for stinky boots.
I was not expecting you to say that. That's great. Well, that's I'm about to head out on a trek actually, and blisters are like the thing I fear the most. So thank you for sharing that too. Well, there's several things I would love to talk about with you, Logan, in terms of like what you're up to. One thing is that you had mentioned before we went on air about doing a fire ecology walk, and I'm just kind of curious about that and maybe other classes you might be teaching in either your area or out and about, because I know that's happening as well.
Sure. So yeah, the other day I was doing some work with Fusee. It's FUSEE. And
I
so
subscribe to their newsletter.
Oh, cool.
Randomly.
Yeah, so I have a good friend of mine. She works with them, and she said, like, hey, I know you leave a lot of plant walks in the area. Maybe you'd like to do a fire ecology walk for us. And the whole idea behind it is to take people out into forest fire areas and teach them about the importance of fire ecology. Because out here on the West Coast and a lot of places around North America right now are experiencing a lot of wildfires, or around the world, I should say. But there's been a lot of wildfires due to suppression of indigenous practices regarding prescribed burnings and indigenous burning practices. I've even been like reading the Lewis and Clark diaries recently and stuff, and they would say like, oh, we wanted to talk to the Sioux tribe, so we just set the prairie on fire and stuff, and because that's the signal to be like, hey, we're over here, and they like come over. It wasn't like, and it's interesting because we're like so far away from that day. Like, it's like, oh, you want to talk to your neighbor? Let's just set the backyard on fire, and then they know to come over to say hi to us.
But it wouldn't go over well.
Yeah, it wouldn't go over well. So I'm going to be doing some work with them this summer and leading some fire ecology walks where I walk around and share a lot about fire ecology. And having been raised in Oregon, walked a lot of these trails and seen how, even though people talk about the horrible devastation of fires and how the ecology's gone forever and your favorite swimming hole will no longer be what it was, you come back a couple of years later, like a few years later, and the plants are coming back just fine. The ecology is not destroyed. This ecology is adapted to be around fire. So I really am looking forward to sharing more with people on the importance of fire ecology. I've done some talks on this before, and so now to get to do more opportunities to share that, I'm really looking forward to. So for other events I have coming up, I'm not sure when this is going to be released, but the Good Medicine Confluence is coming up August 17th through the 20th. This will be my third year going, and it is by far my favorite herbal gathering. Jesse Wolf Hardin's become a really good friend of mine, and the way he throws gatherings, it's just so infused with myth and poetry, and just brings all kinds of people from like naturopathic doctors to herbalists to alchemists to land tenders, and just a really eclectic mix. So when I'm there, I feel like I'm around my people. And I'm really excited because I've never been to New Mexico, and this year is going to be in Ghost Ranch, New Mexico, which apparently Georgia O'Keeffe made her last paintings there. So apparently it's supposed to be spectacularly beautiful. So if you're interested in that, I'd highly recommend going.
Cool. Yeah, it's a stunning location. It's actually where I first met Jim McDonald in person. So
oh, no way.
Place in my heart. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So other things that are going on with me, I'm doing some work with Herb Rally. I've been doing work with Herb Rally for a while, but I'm working on a class right now that's on harvesting invasive species and species that are labeled as pests and things like that, this has been a really exciting one for me because I talk a lot about my work with plants and mushrooms, but I also am very into like fishing and hunting and these other forms of gathering wild foods. And I work a lot with things that people label as like kind of like garbage and pests and things like that. And for me, it's like, it's first frugal nutrition course. So it's very pertinent there where it's like, okay, these things that people are saying like, oh, don't touch that. That's not gross. That's like, oh, don't eat your weeds. Don't eat crawfish. They're gross little river lobsters. You shouldn't be eating those. I'm like, actually, they're quite delicious if you know how to work with these things. So I'm really looking forward to sharing more on that. So that'll be coming up soon. Also doing some work with Herbal Academy. I've been making a lot of herbal monographs for them, so I'll have a few more coming out this summer. And I'm doing a gardening course with them, permaculture and gardening course. So if you're interested in learning how to grow medicinal herbs next spring, we're going to be having that class being released. And I've done a whole written portion, a lot of video classes. I'm really excited to release that one. And then one last thing was the Conscious Growth Convergence. That's a event that happens out at Lost Valley out in Dexter, Oregon. It's going to be happening October 5th, I believe, but it's going to be like a 3-day gathering full of music and workshops. And my buddy Satish, he just throws really intentional gatherings. Like, I feel like it just really brings in like the community vibes, and it's very much more, what's the good word for it? Very relational, I guess would be a good word for it. It's really about building relationships with the land around you and tending kind of circles. And there's going to be a lot more classes, not just on like herbal stuff, but a lot on how to relate together as a community and how to embody certain practices of movement and things like that. And there's going to be like dancing. And so I'm really looking for that one. I'll be leading a plant walk for that as well.
Cool.
I believe that's all. I know I have some more stuff coming up. That's all that's coming right now. So I don't want to.
Well, you should definitely mention your own website, Logan, because I was just checking it out. On your website, you've got a blog with some cool articles on there, and this is notaibotanica.com. And you also sell herbal products as well.
Yeah. The website's been a really good way to kind of help have all my work on one platform. And I've been kind of, when you social media kind of scatters you in all these directions, where it's nice to have like a website where you can kind of find everything I'm offering. And I'm able to actually give out some more of my longer form writing, because I do a lot of writing, and social media kind of, they try to bring down our attention span, so we can only handle like small little paragraphs here and there. And it's nice to have, like, I have my whole herbal formulation workshop thing. It's like, I don't know, something like 30 pages long, tells you all about herbal formulation, which is something that isn't as common to see discussed. So I have a lot of cool writing on there. It's a good place to find me for consultations, or if you have any other inquiries about my work, it's a really great place to find me.
Awesome. Well, before you go, I have one last question for you, and that's, are there any new skills or things you're working on in regards to herbs or mushrooms?
Yeah, so one thing I've studied alchemy for quite a number of years, but I've been studying with Robert Allen Bartlett recently to kind of bring my studies up a notch and stuff. So studying with him has been really amazing. For those who aren't familiar with Robert, he's kind of like a huge figure in the alchemical community. He's been practicing for a long time. I was reading his books like a decade ago, and to be actually studying with him now has been really powerful and kind of upgrading my realm of what I can do with herbal extractions and working with the distillation equipment and various other apparatuses to really improve my herbal medicine making abilities. So I've been really enjoying that. Also, I've just been, like I was mentioning with the work I've been doing with Herb Rally, I've been really excited about sharing more about my work in outdoor skills and ancestral skills. I do a lot of work working with kids. This past year, I've been getting more experience working with 5th and 6th graders with the Oregon Outdoor School. So that's been really fun, teaching them about foraging and tracking and all these various outdoor skills. So I work a lot with a lot of ancestral skills people. So I've been really excited to share more about my work in the realms of gathering wild foods, of making fire and tracking and hunting and fishing and these kind of other things that really I use to sustain my life. And just some other big things going on in my life. I'm getting married in September, and I'm building a cabin right now. So building myself, getting married. So it's been a really fun time for me right now. It's been a pretty pivotal year for me. So I'm really excited about what the rest of the year holds, and just been working really hard at that. So that's just kind of what's been going on in my world. There's a million other things. That's the gist of it.
Well, that's awesome, Logan. Congratulations on getting married, building a house. That's all amazing. And yeah, I'd love to hear about the Ancestral skills as well, something near and dear to my heart too. So yeah, you are a man of many talents with lots going on. And I definitely recommend people check out your website, notybotanicals.com, to see all there is. It's been a pleasure to get to know you and have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, you as well, Rosalee. It's been a real honor to have you reach out to me. I was very excited because I've been following your work for a number of years, and I really love your podcast. So I was really excited that you decided to reach out to me. I was like, oh my God, Rosalee, like, no way. That's awesome. So, yeah, I feel really honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Well, thank you so much, Logan. Have a good one.
You as well.
Thanks for being here. Don't forget to head over to the show notes at herbswithrosaleepodcast.com to download your beautifully illustrated recipe card. There you can sign up for my newsletter, which is the best way to stay in touch with me. And you can find more from Logan at his website, notybotanica.com. If you'd like more herbal episodes to come your way, then one of the best ways to support this podcast is by subscribing on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. I deeply believe that this world needs more herbalists and plant-centered folks, and I'm so glad that you're here as part of this herbal community. Also, a big round of thanks to the people all over the world who make this podcast happen week to week. Emily Thomas Anderson is the project manager who oversees the entire podcast operation, from guest outreach to writing show notes and on and on. I often tell people, I just show up. Emily does most of the heavy lifting. Nicole Paul is the operator for the entire Herbs with Rosalee school and community. She keeps an eagle-eye view on everything to ensure it's running smoothly. Francesca is our fabulous video and audio editor. She not only makes listening more pleasant, she also adds beauty to the YouTube videos with plant images and video overlays. Tatiana Rusakova is the botanical illustrator who creates gorgeous plant and recipe illustrations for us. I love them, and I know you love them. Once the illustration is ready, Jenny creates the recipe cards as well as the thumbnail images for YouTube. Alex is our behind-the-scenes tech support and social media manager, and Karen and Emily are our student services coordinators and community support. If you've written in with a question, undoubtedly you got help from them. For those of you who like to read along, Jennifer is who creates the transcripts each week. Xavier, my handsome French husband, is the cameraman and website IT guy. It takes an herbal village to make it all happen, including you. Thank you so much for your support through your comments, reviews, and ratings. One of my favorite things about this podcast is hearing from you. I read every comment that comes in, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Okay, you've done it. You've lasted to the very end of the show, which means you get a gold star and this herbal tidbit. Well, I was curious to learn more about red-belted conch ecology, and so I looked into it, and here's something I found out. So it's not just a tough shelf fungus, it's also a post-fire strategist. Its thick-walled spores can survive really harsh conditions, including forest fires. After the flames die down, it's often one of the first fungi to move into the charred remains. But it doesn't just decompose what's left, it really transforms it. So it breaks down the wood, it alters the pH and chemistry of the log, making it more inviting for other organisms like mosses and lichens and even other fellow fungi. And that way, it helps to set the stage for a whole new forest community to emerge. Thanks for joining me on this herbal adventure. See you next time. Hi, it's Rosalee. If this podcast has brought you inspiration or grounded you in your love of herbs, I'd love to invite you to join the podcast circle. Your membership helps support the show, and it gives you access to live herbal classes, exclusive resources, and a warm community of fellow plant lovers. Learn more and join us at herbalpodcastcircle.com. Your support truly helps this podcast thrive. Thank you.